Now, something I like to do with dogs who are having anxiety issues is utilize play after a walk or sandwich it in between the calmer training sessions. There's definitely a bit of an art to that, to just drain a little bit of energy, but to make sure it's more reward based, not starting with play. And I think that's really important. And so this little guy, Warner, has separation anxiety, and I rarely do play with specifically separation anxiety. But because of his age, I felt like it was something we could really utilize. And because he does love to play, but there's not this obsession, where his brain gets into an obsessed mode. I have a ball obsessed border collie, so I kind of know what it looks like. He just really loves it. So that for me was another reason that we went ahead and integrated it into separation anxiety. Every case is different, though. I have to say that, when it comes to the separation anxiety. And with him, we are utilizing play in a specific way.
This, very little, if any of this, yeah. Then you get that. But you don't want to do a lot of this. You want to stay low. Stay low. You want to stay even with their spine, or just a little higher, not much. All right. Drop it. Oh, good. Break. Kind of fell out of his mouth. It happens a lot. All right. Drop it. Good. No. He's fast. Stinker.
Just throwing something over and over and over again and having your dog retrieve it or tug it is a really bad idea. You need to do some proofing. It needs to be by a release word. And I have tons of videos on that, so I'm just showing a little snippet here of some ideas that you can do. And I even let him win. He's, like I said, he's not obsessed. It's not about that, but it is about him waiting for permission to get the toy. But notice how clear I made it when I wanted him to, when he was allowed to take it.
So there's two ways, that I really start focusing on the break. In the beginning, you got to make it really obvious that they can have the toy now. So when they do have the toy, you need to make sure you're moving, okay? My movements can be really small with a small dog, but I need to be moving. Because if you don't move and act like prey, which is what this is, then they're gonna tug more, they're gonna get more combative, things like that. Yeah, now that might not be every dog, but for most dogs, that's what I've noticed. And other trainers I've learned play from, it's like you need to keep moving or they will start to dig in more. Not that he could drag me across the yard, but a bully breed could if I'm not actively moving and teaching them that I'll move the toy around. But anyway, when you want them to let go, you gotta become very boring and they don't get any leverage anymore. And so the easiest way to do that is to tuck your ribs into your elbows, tuck your elbows into your ribs. Don't pull back up to your stomach, because if you're standing up or sitting down, the dogs will jump up. So what you wanna do, what are you doing? You sliding? Break, is you just tuck in here. It's best to hold the toy with two hands in the beginning with newer dogs. And you just become boring. Drop it. And then when they drop it naturally, you add the word drop it to the mix. For him, he does know drop it, break. But he sometimes has selective hearing. So I've been firmer, at this stage, with the NO, with blocking. So I'll show you that. You're so silly. Yes, you're the silliest player. Give it a talk. Give it a talk. Give it a talk. All right, drop it. No, drop it. Good. He kind of softened his grip a little, but he has a habit, he has a habit when I say it to chew towards the end and wait till he's totally off. So I've been trying to hold him more accountable for that now, and which is a block of some sort. If your dog is really bitey, much more intense than Warner, down. Then you want to utilize the leash, which that's how we started, is him dragging a leash. But you'll pick up the leash and do a little bit of pressure to help the dog understand to back off. Again, with a bigger dog, you're standing up, of course. With your, no, down. I give him a little poke. All right, let's talk about the release. Be clear with your release word. Super clear, okay? Super duper clear. In the beginning, you want to give it back to your dog. Break, yeah! Make it really obvious and really give it back to them. Yes, good job. Break, and then you can just throw it and say the word too. Good job. Hey, enough. Enough.
Now, I like the word enough. I've also used no play with my dogs. Kind of both of those words I use when we're done. And I just do blocking, low-level e-collar if I need to settle the dog down. And then I put the toy away, or I just kind of leave it out like you see here. But I'm not going to grab that toy again unless he's out of the room, because it'll kickstart that whole process. Now, I'm just going to remain standing until he settles, especially because I have a distraction. My husband's in the kitchen. He has to settle down first without me telling him down. Just settle in one spot, or, take it upon himself to go lay in place. He just needs to hang out. If he looks at me for any sort of guidance, I might repeat the enough. Once he settles, I'll sit down too, if I can, depending on where I am, if I'm at the park or wherever. And we just hang out for 3 to 5 minutes with him in boredom mode. No, you can't venture over there. No, you can't venture over there. We're not doing the toy again. It's almost like place duration, except I'm not telling him place, lay down. I'm using more dog communication, body language, kind of chipping away at things to help him understand what to do. If you feel like your dog is in a good headspace, this is where you can give a few pets, but you have to make sure they're not begging you for it. They have to kind of accept being bored for a little bit first. Then if they seem to do that, seem to be nice and calm, you can give them a few pets, and then you have to make sure that they don't just come back at you demanding more pets. You would have to tell them no for that. This is all just in the concept of, making sure we're not allowing pushy behavior, rewarding them, asking for things, all really important when you're dealing with anxiety. Some dogs can't get to this when they're still thinking about that toy. And so what you need to do instead is go to part 1, put a leash back on your dog if you took a leash off, and do your let's go work slowly to help calm them down before doing this step. Side note, if your dog has crate anxiety like Warner, or anxiety coming back into the house, excitement anxiety, you need to do a few minutes of slow patterning before taking the leash off and giving them place duration or crate time. Warner will have 15 minutes of slow, calm crate meditation patterning before we're completely finished here. So I'm really stacking many things back to back to help with his separation anxiety.